Recent reports from reliable sources suggest that Russian forces have likely advanced in eastern Kharkiv Oblast and entered the village of Kopanky. After the reported capture of Pershotravneve, Russian troops likely entered the northern houses of Kopanky, taking up positions there. If this is true, then they would have also seized 3 more treelines to the north of the village. Geolocated footage indicates that Russian forces have advanced on the South Donetsk Front and captured the village of Antonivka. After gaining a foothold in the eastern buildings, the situation began to deteriorate for the AFU. The expansion of this foothold started out slow, but began to speed up as they approached the central part of the village. Eventually, Ukrainian resistance began to break apart. Ukraine made a last stand with a few pockets of resistance on the westernmost houses, but Russian infantry conducted assault operations and were able to clear the remaining Ukrainian positions, raising their flag over a heavily damaged house. Geolocated footage indicates that Russian forces have advanced in the Kostyantynivka direction and eliminated most, if not all, of the Ukrainian bridgehead on the eastern bank of the Siversky-Donets canal. Ukraine began a retreat from this area after likely losing control of the northern part of the bridgehead. They blew up a crossing over the canal as they left. Russia then likely filled this gray zone by advancing along the 2 parallel treelines, seizing fortifications along the way. As this advance is on the tactical heights, the next battles across the canal will be easier than in other areas. This can also be attributed to Ukraine falling back to low-lying ground. In the Pokrovsk direction, a Ukrainian source reported that Russian forces have fully captured the villages of Hryhorivka and Petrivka. This may have been done by crossing the Solona River. Further south, they reported that fighting continues in Urivka, while a Russian forward troop concentration point was destroyed in Novoaleksiyevka. Heavy fighting continues in Toretsk, especially in the southern Zabalka district of the city. Russian forces reportedly broke back into the eastern part of this district, occupying the school and a number of 3-story buildings. In the south, after reports of success in pushing Russia from the Zabalka district, Ukrainian forces reportedly went on the offensive again and recaptured the Terrakon, a forest, and a series of forest plantations. Recent reports from reliable sources suggest that Russian forces likely continue to close their pincers around the Ukrainian cauldron southeast of Kharkiv. Russia likely advanced from positions near Maximivka for over 6 kilometers up the highway to Kharkiv and are approaching Upsanivka, a key Ukrainian logistical hub. Other reports suggest that they likely entered Donetsk and captured the northeastern houses of the village. However, other reports state that the village was fully captured. If all of this is true, then it means that there is less than 5.7 kilometers to go until Ukraine is fully encircled here, and around 3.3 kilometers until they are operationally encircled. Geolocated footage indicates that Russian forces broke through Ukrainian defenses in the Kupiansk direction and entered the eastern part of the city. Following a series of reconnaissance operations which involved Russian troops crossing the Nylitsia River, it appears that Russia found the weak spot in Ukrainian defenses and went in with armored vehicles. They advanced down the railway line, which leads into East Bank Kupiansk, and were caught on video driving through the industrial part of the city. The composition of the force involved a tank, a BMP, and an MTLB. The MTLB was hit by a Ukrainian FPV drone while in a forest to the north, but the tank and BMP kept on moving south. I doubt they would move into such a heavily fortified city without sending in reinforcements on the flanks. So, in my opinion, it is likely that Russia took up limited positions in the northeastern suburbs. However, the question remains, will they be able to retain these positions, or will we see a similar situation to what happened in Seladov?